Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam. Listen, reflect and absorb. Dear listeners, Sai Ram and welcome to our radio series in which a divine discourse by Bhagawan is played in small parts, and following each part a short discussion is undertaken to reflect on the message. In today's episode, which was first broadcast live on 14th January 2016, Professor Sudhir Bhaskar, Director of Radio Sai, participated as a guest. The discourses undertaken for study in this program are from the series of discourses delivered as part of the summer course in Indian Culture and Spirituality, 1991. Have a listen, please.
Offering a most humble pranams at Bhagawan's lotus feet. Dear listeners, it is with much joy and a little bit of trepidation we are beginning a brand new series, or rather a new series of an old format. We are doing the second part of the Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam, a series that we did a little over a year ago. I am Prem from Team Radio Sai, and with me is Sai Prakash. We were hosts for the previous session. We are here again, and it is with much gratitude that we would like to say that we are here only because of the overwhelming response that we got, not something which we expected. It is with so much love that many listeners wrote to us even 1 year after the program concluded, saying that it would be wonderful if we start this program again. That alone was the inspiration, and that alone was the encouragement that we needed to start this program again. So we are here to start a new season, if you would like to call it that, of Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam. Before I introduce the special guest we are having for the first episode of this new series, I invite Brother Sai Prakash to join me in hosting this program. Sai Ram, Sai Prakash.
Sai Ram, Prem. Yes, you mentioned right. There is a lot of trepidation in the heart. And 1 year back, things seemed a bit different. Now things are looking a bit different. Sometimes I wonder whether reading more helps you or makes you more, I would say, hesitant to take up a topic like this. But as Swami has said often, and as many of our speakers would often quote it in their talks, Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim. Meaning, with His grace, a dumb person can speak and a lame person can cross the mountains. You know, the feeling I'm having right now is as if I have just crossed one hill. I've just come down the valley and I'm seeing the next big hill in front of me. 1990 series was the first hill, and we decided and prayed to Bhagawan to guide us after a lot of thinking. Swami has guided us to go on to the next series that Swami gave in the year 1991. So, dear listeners, we are starting this second episode of Shravanam Mananam series with the 1991 summer course discourses that Bhagawan had given at Vrindavan. And in all, there are about 14 discourses. I think the first series had about 16 discourses.
Right.
Yeah, here there are 14 discourses. And I won't introduce the topic yet. Let us first introduce the guest for the day.
Right. We're very happy to have with us. And he's no stranger to listeners because he's our own Radio Sai team member. He's our director, Professor Sudhir Bhaskar. We are delighted to have him. Sai Ram sir, and a very warm welcome to the new series of Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam.
Sai Ram, Prem and Sai Prakash. Yeah, I used to hear this series on my Radio Sai channel.
Oh, that's wonderful, sir.
Long time back. I know, I think more than you both. No, I think I am even more feeling the trepidation because
Not at all.
I'm not used to standing or in front of a mic. I used to do a little bit of recording, but no, doing it live, it makes a little difference. I hope, with Swami's blessings, we'll be able to cross this next big hill. And I'm with all of you. Let's take it in such a way. And we wish to get feedback from all our listeners after every episode, so that with your feedback, we can increase the level with every other episode.
That's
So
right.
I think a short introduction is due to Sir. Most of our listeners maybe they would have listened to the other programs on which Sir was a part, but probably a short introduction, not because of the credentials alone, but many times as youngsters, when we look at some of the elders who are in the ashram, I mean, we look at them as a repository of rich experience, because there is nothing which can teach you more wisdom than living in the presence of Swami. And when you look at some of the elders, especially like Sudhir Bhaskar sir, he's been the director of the Prasanthi Connect campus. Before that, he was the dean of the Department of Management Studies. Of course, he is graduated from IIT Madras with an MTech, with a fellowship in management from IIM Bangalore. And with all that, sir is having a good 30 years of teaching experience. He joined the university in the year 1988, I believe. And ever since, he's been serving in the university. Even now, he actively interacts with the students. And more than that, I was very happy to know, Sar Prakash was sharing with me a couple of days back, Sir was even fortunate to be a part of the 1972 summer course, I believe.
Did
The
you
first summer
attend
course?
that?
I mean, I joined in 88,
Okay.
right from 1990.
So 1990 is the new series
New
of
series.
summer
New
course.
series.
Okay.
Actually, the last summer course in the previous edition, that was in 1979.
Okay.
And those years, it was a ritual that Swami would perform at the beginning of the summer course, one marriage.
Oh,
At the
okay.
end of the summer course, it will be another marriage.
Oh, really? Wow.
And,
That's something new.
I mean, there's something I've not shared with anybody, but let me like to use this opportunity. In 1979, May 19th, 20th May was the inauguration of the summer course. On 19th, Swami had performed my marriage.
Oh, wonderful, sir.
And that too in Vrindavan at that time.
Oh,
So,
wonderful.
those days, I used to be the press coordinator between institute and also the press in general. So after every day's discourse of Swami, we used to summarize the whole thing, type it out because those computers were not there.
Right.
Then in the middle of the night, by 10 o'clock, I used to go to all the newspapers in the
Okay.
city and give it them so that next day morning, it is there in the newspaper, summary of Swami's discourse.
Okay. So your Radio Sai work started even then in 1979.
Yeah, so we put it that way, yes.
That's so wonderful. So you have already been initiated into Radio Sai way back in 1979.
Yeah.
I was precisely 1 year old at that time.
And I was still in the making, I guess.
That's wonderful, sir. And as you were mentioning press and, recording some Swami's discourses and putting it out in the newspaper, really at this point in time, we have to laud and we have to appreciate the benefits of technology, in the sense, today when we are sitting in 2016 and you play the speech which Swami gave way back in 91, you just feel transported and you feel one with that. Yes, you have a script, you have a text of Swami's discourse, but when you actually listen to his voice, it's a totally different experience.
And in 1990 also, when the series started, Swami used to involve me in the decoration of the stage.
Oh, wonderful.
Then Swami made me in charge of taking video of all the proceedings. So the Swami had given a camera, and then we used to use the camera sitting in the third or fourth row
Okay.
in the auditorium, so that we get a good view, and then we used to have a feed directly from the mixer.
Okay.
The
So that
audio.
we can feed and get without any distortion. I mean, all those things we did at that time.
Wonderful.
Compared to that technology, we are far ahead. But that was the latest at that time. I think we still have those video cassettes with us.
Wonderful, wonderful. First of all, reading the discourse is great. Then listening to the audio is one step higher. But then seeing him speak, the 1990 series, Swami is speaking in such a flow. The entire series was as if it's a preset syllabus. It was like a
Correct,
syllabus
yes.
for the entire session.
Yes.
Because one discourse leading into the other, one discourse, totally coherently linked. When I actually saw the video of the 1990 summer course discourses, I was totally amazed, because here is the fountainhead of wisdom. And, for listeners who have heard that beautiful poem written by Kasturi uncle of how Swami actually gives his discourses, you see that it comes from the source. You have to actually see to believe. When you see Swami giving the discourse, the next word, there is no rehearsed word. It just flows. It flows like Ganga. There's a spontaneous flow. And it's so beautiful, The same Swami who came and asked me what was the breakfast, the same Swami who went to the primary school, what is the size of idli you had, small idli, big idli, and there he's talking about the bird of buddhi, the Atma Tattva, the Manas, the Chitta, the Antakarnas. That was the 1990 series.
Right.
It's totally amazing.
Here, I just would like to mention one thing. Swami, every act of his, every word of his is so potent. You can wait for years of your sadhana on that particular word or that incident and still will not be able to get the best out of it.
Oh.
And will not know the meaning.
Meaning of that.
See, I'll tell you, for example, what happened in 1991. As part of the stage decoration, we had got 2 lines, which you'll find now in Sai-Kulwant Hall.
Okay.
By side.
Yes.
These are not same one, but similar one was brought by Mr. Nateshan, and he had given it to Swami. He said, Swami, please use it for decoration. Then some of us were there, Anil Kumar, myself, a few of us, and then Swami said, what type of arrangement should we make? Because having that type of huge lines on the stage with Swami's discourse table, I mean, you have to have a proper arrangement. So we tried all possible combinations, and as I'm saying, not nice, bale, all that you used to, like what we call in Hindi, taldo. Then finally we all said, no, I think we made a big mistake by making suggestion to Swami. We should allow Swami to tell us what is the best. So we folded our hands and Anil Kumar, myself, and all on our knees said, Swami, you please tell. Then Swami came onto the stage and arranged the lines. I'll tell you the way he had arranged. When you sit on the table facing the audience, on the left side, Swami had put the one line with the tail facing the audience and the head facing Swami.
Oh.
Head of the table.
Okay.
And the second one, Swami put behind his chair to the right of the table with a tail towards him and head going towards the inside of the stage. You can see there is no symmetry at all. Normally we always look for symmetry, isn't it? I was stunned. And you can't tell Swami, what is this arrangement? No, it looks so horrible. But no, I learned by then, I should keep my mouth shut. And let what Swami is giving the message, let it sink into us. So I kept quiet. Since I was having duty sitting like third row and I was always wondering, what is it that Swami wants to communicate to all the thousands who are going to be seated here or who are going to see the videos? What does he want to communicate? One discourse after the other discourse after the other discourse. The way he was developing, he was always telling how to go back in.
Okay.
How should your inward path be? And if you look at the lion has got one trait, which all hunters use. Lion, in the morning when it goes in a particular way, maybe at random. But after noon, it comes back the same route.
Oh, okay.
So normally hunters, what they do, they look for the pug marks and they see if that one is going and coming, that means lion is not there.
Okay.
But if they see only one pair going, they know that it's going to come back. So they wait there to hunt it. Towards the end of the Samko real, my God, Swami is trying to communicate how that lion is coming back. That means all of us who are like lions, Swami always tells me we are lions. How we should go back to the source, which is Swami. And go backstage. Backstage means we go back to the place from where we have come.
To the source.
I mean, I said, my God, so very subtly, so beautifully. I mean, you tell me, I don't think I will ever forget in my lifetime, nor will any of you who have been listening, will always look for certain things, why Swami is doing certain things, and what is the message he's trying to communicate to us. So there's a perfect unison between his discourses message and the stage arrangement. I mean, just out of the world.
It also brings to mind, possibly Swami is trying to, I mean, this is just my way of thinking, let the animal nature go away. Let the animal nature go away. I mean, why do you want to look at the animal nature? The animal nature is going away from you into the stage and beyond. It's going away.
That's another way of looking.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
it just goes beyond. Swami
let
is
go
there.
of it.
Swami is in the center. You started out as an animal with animal traits. The other lion is going behind Swami backstage. So leave the animal nature. When you leave the animal nature, you get the Lord. Isn't that
Beautiful?
But it's a beautiful thing in the sense, like, when some symbolism like that strikes you, especially you're coming back to me. No more Swami's discourses and advice. No more Swami's discourses, probably a rule book of instructions. It's like a gospel. I mean, you know that this is, as we many times said during the 1990 series, this is like a manual to human life.
correct?
Everything from the body, the mind, the senses, and what you do with each one of these, what you do with your character, what you do in a society. It's like a manual.
Yes.
And it strikes you so strongly that Swami is not giving just a piece of advice. Swami is not giving just rules which you can live your life with, but these are the rules. These are the things that have to be done.
It's a manual with a worked out example. That is Bhagawan himself.
Yeah.
Right.
His life is his example. So you have a manual and you have a worked out example. In some of the school textbooks,
It's called workbook.
Workbook.
Step by step workbook
Right.
it is.
Workbook. So all his discourses are unique. Every discourse which Swami gives on a festival has its own importance, has its own relevance. But the summer showers which Swami specifically gave to the students is something very, very special, because it is not because Swami chose topics where he can tell a lot of stories and entertain the young minds. It is not because Swami decided not to tell stories. There's a mixture of, yes, fun, there's a mixture of humor, there's a mixture of the highest truths being brought out. But what is more amazing about these summer shower series is the love with which Swami speaks, and the way he conveys it in a special tone to the students. I mean, the first line when he says Vidyarthulara, Bodhakalara, with so much love, you see how he is specifically addressing the student community and the teachers. And what is he advising? He is advising that part of Vidya which is the sole purpose of setting up this university. That Atma Vidya which he really wanted to give to the students, that has always been the focus of.
One more uniqueness of Samashas was that it was not just only the discourse time.
Mm-hmm.
Swami used to spend a lot of time with all the delegates, those who needed before 1990.
Correct.
We used to have delegates coming from all over India and abroad.
Yes.
And Swami used to interact with them, one-to-one basis. And every Sunday, one group was getting interviews.
Oh.
Those days it will be 1 month programs.
Yes.
And between also he'll call groups, talk to them, saying that, no, this is a discourse I gave, what is that, you have difficulty. And I think he'll call one boy or a girl and say that, no, look, I think when I was giving you had a doubt. Is this not the doubt you had?
Oh
My God.
And then he will say that, no, actually the meaning of it is this is the way you should understand. The summer showers was that integral part of Swami being accessible continuously to anybody you want. Only you must be a seeker.
Yeah.
And you must be a genuine seeker. That was the only difference. And if you had that urge and Swami is to respond, I mean, go. Like we say, you take one step, we'll take 1,000 steps. He will take 99 steps first for you to take the next one step. But that one step is that your earnest desire to be a seeker. That is the difference.
I mean, when we were discussing with Professor Nanjundaya sir, he was telling us an incident which Professor Kasturi used to narrate to them. In the early 70s, when only the Vrindavan Arts and Science College was there, apart from the Anantapur College for Girls, any festival, Swami would call those boys and they would be here, they would be assigned tasks and they had to report directly to Swami, especially the big birthday celebrations. And invariably, when those boys are leaving for Bangalore after that extended stay, as always we all still do, as the Vrindavan boys still do, they would shout Jaikar even as the vehicle leaves the ashram. And Swami would be either in his room or interview room, and many times Professor Kasturi would be in Swami's presence. And there would be a sudden sadness in Swami's face when he hears that. Oh, boys are going away. And many times Professor Kasturi used to play the role of, saying that Swami, they're going to come back in a month or so, or Swami is going there in a couple of weeks. And one particular time, Swami revealed the reason why he actually becomes sad.
I remember this.
Right. It was so profound. I think you should be the best person to share it.
So actually, then Swami said, when they were here, 24 hours, their attention was only on me.
Yes.
And I used to respond to them, take care of everything. Those days, they used to run in the canteen, they used to look at, other things, all activities. They never, used to come for darshan. Swami had to specifically send message for them to come for darshan. But wherever they were, full time their concentration was, how do I make Swami happy by the task which has been assigned to me? So continuously for that, and especially birthdays, the boys and Anantapur students who used to be here for 1 month. So continuously. Then Swami said that, look, now what is going to happen? They're going back to the world. They may forget me. Get back to what they have been doing.
Right.
Then Mr. Kasturi said, no, Swami, definitely there will be sessions they will be having. What is that you learned? What did you how to participate? What are the things you experienced? Swami, they are going to have those sessions. So they will be remembering about these things, Swami. But still, it is not 24 hours.
My God.
And in fact, Professor Nanjundas was telling that on a different occasion, one of the reasons why Swami started the summer course again in the 90s was this. That 2 months was too long a period for the boys to go away from Swami, the students to go away from Swami.
Okay.
So some way to bring them back earlier and give them this, strong dosage of company with Swami, presence with Swami before they again get lost in the academics. So all said and done, I think the wisdom is very, very pure. Swami is giving immense knowledge, but the whole thing is based and springs from that, love, that pure love that Swami had. And now, it's not only for students. All of us can sit and listen to it. It's documented. That's one of the greatest boons Swami has given. Swami has materialized rings, chains for innumerable number of devotees. But the greatest gift for mankind is he's allowed these discourses to be documented in digital forms that we can go back to. No ambiguity. You can hear his message his own
voice live from Prasanthi or live from any part of the world where you want to listen to his voice in his own voice. Prem, you would remember that when we were thinking of what to call this series, it is definitely a divine inspiration. We just thought, let us call it Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam. And I'm sure both of us had no clue of what these words actually meant. But having done the 1990 series, I'm sure many of the listeners would remember the most amazing sign-off which Swami had at the end of that series. Sir, this is something that shook both of us, We did something about 75 episodes, I think 72 to 75 episodes. That is what we did for the first season.
We took the Guru Purnima discourse of that year as a summary.
Yeah,
right?
Because what happened, Swami gave the summer course 16 discourses, and the Guru Purnima discourse was a summary of the 16 discourses. So we thought, let us end the series with Guru Purnima discourse. And we had no idea what we were getting into, because the last line of the last word of that Guru Purnima discourse, Swami says, Ide Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam. We had no idea that we are calling this series, why we are calling this series Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam. In fact, some of our friends said, couldn't you think of something shorter? Some
more catchy phrase.
So some smaller name you could have thought of. But where were we thinking? It was just given. It was just inspired. And the more I'm thinking of these three words, Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam, and connecting it to the incident that you just mentioned, Swami clearly mentions in that series that the food that you take is not only through the mouth. So the Shravanam is symbolic of what you take inside you. It could be the darshan of Swami. It could be what you see. It could be the smell. It could be the taste. It could be what you're hearing. Shravanam is not just the hearing. So it is what you see, what you absorb through all your senses. That is Shravanam. And then Mananam is when you think about it, when you recollect them and you live the experience, when you discuss, when you feel the joy. And Nidhidhyasanam is when you put it into practice.
That's why once Swami was saying, not only that, the 5 karmendriyas and 5 jnanendriyas together, it constitute, like Swami gave the example of namaskaram, 5 fingers put together. Actually, Swami said, it is through these 10 systems which you take in.
Correct.
Together should be synergistic. Then you get the maximum benefit.
Okay.
So what you see, what you hear, what you eat, what you feel by touch, all these things you have to have the synergy. And because there is an incident of 1 month, obviously that is what the boys experienced in all that particular 30 days being here, both boys and girls. So that is the one, so much of input goes in. Only thing is, like Swami said, at the end, if you can ruminate over it, think about it, look at the import of it, try to find out what lesson we can learn and implement in our own life. Even Swami said, my life is my message. Then last Swami said, your life is my message. That means now we should be able to live what we have understood from Swami, so that it becomes easy for others to understand what Swami has said.
Very true. Dear listeners, with that introduction, let us start this beautiful series of discourses which Swami delivered in the year 1991. Predominantly, the topic that Swami has dealt with is the Upanishads. And I was just going through the topics, that is the titles given to the discourses in this series. And let me just read out the names of the 14 discourses that Swami gave. The first one is End of Education is Character. Second is Vedic Heritage of India. Third is Tattvamasi. Fourth is on the Ishavasya Upanishad. Fifth is Kenopanishad. Sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth is Prashnopanishad. The 10th discourse is on Mundaka Upanishad. The 11th is on Taittiriya Upanishad. On the 12th, Swami explains about Virata and Hiranyagarbha. The 13th is titled Spiritual Practice. And the 14th discourse is Dharma and Indian Spirituality. I mean, this looks like a really, really big hill to
tough
cross.
syllabus, right?
But
it's so beautiful that, when you start a new course, you're given objectives of the course. By the end of the course, you should have understood these concepts.
Yes.
Correct.
Almost like that the first discourse in the series is End of Education.
Yes.
Right now, in the end of all this, you should be a person of good character. Swami is like putting that before everything else, before going into any Upanishad. Swami is saying the end of education is character.
Swami is a par excellent example as a teacher. So normally when we go for a class, we tell them that by the end of my class, this is what you should have learned.
Right.
And then we give the whole talk.
Correct.
And the last 2 minutes we'll say, okay, we started off saying that you should learn this. This is what I have covered. Hope you have understood.
Summary.
See, so that's why if you look at most of the times when Swami has given series of discourses, he sets the agenda at the beginning itself.
Right.
So that when you are listening to Swami, you know in what context should you be understanding what Swami has been telling. So because in the beginning itself, he told how we should utilize that information which is coming to him, to us.
Beautiful.
In fact, in the second page of the first discourse, there's one line which just caught my interest. It says, all that is learnt must culminate in behavior. That is the Nidhidhyasanam part. I think, yes, we are going to venture on this most amazing journey and probably learn the correct spelling of Upanishad by the end of this series. But how do we put it into practice, and how Swami has inspired many of our elders and many of the devotees to listen to a lot of his discourses, imbibe values from them. Many of them are Balvika's teachers. Many of them have closely followed Swami's teachings and Swami's discourses, and how it has benefited them in daily life. I think when we integrate some of those real life experiences with what Swami is actually telling us, that is the Mananam part. I would say listening to Swami's discourse in this series, listening to his discourse is the Shravanam part. Then when we talk about it, that is Mananam part. But Nidhidhyasanam is, each one has to do it for himself.
Individually.
I think, as we always say, Shravanam, Swami is taken care. Mananam, we are trying. Nidhidhyasanam is again a prayer to Swami that he allows.
And Swami gives
that
this
to
example, you can have a plate of potato chapati.
Yes.
we are doing that. Preparation Swami has done.
Correct.
We have put it in a
Offering
plate and
it on the
giving it
plate.
in the plate in front of us devotees
Yes.
or listeners. And it is for that person to
Partake it.
Partake it and digest it.
Correct.
Right. And one more disclaimer probably we should say is, when we were considering which series to start, whether it was the Bhagavad Gita series, there were a few listeners who wrote to us asking us to start that. There were some who said Bhaja Govindam series. And one of the reasons why we took up Upanishad is, of course, it's a good compact series of 14, 15 discourses. It gives us enough time to go through them. The second thing is, it's on the Upanishads, not because we know Upanishads or we are good commentators on the topic. It was a new topic for us to learn, and that is the best way to probably do Shravanam of Swami's discourses. We are not going into something which we already know and seeing concurrence with our ideas in Swami's discourse.
Exactly.
But listening to discourse, and we want to, with prayerfully, want to absorb as much as we can. And this is a beautiful topic. It's so profound. Swami would often say that it's the essence of Indian culture. And when Swami says it's a summer course on Indian culture, this is the essence of that. So
very
really
true.
hope.
I mean, dear listeners, I'm sure there are many scholars out there. And some scholars may listen to what we are speaking. Some people who are devotees, who are spiritual seekers. And we are really open to any suggestions and participation. There are two things we can actually do. If somebody feels that the series that we are going to start now, and if you feel that in a portion that is about to come, you have certain points, you can always mail us, or you can always call us and then equip us with that information so that we share it with everybody.
And also acknowledge.
Once that happens, then there is a beautiful participation. And for the benefit of our listeners, there are people who do give us some of the beautiful, valid points which we bring out. So not all the wisdom that we speak here is our own
Hardly
finding.
any, I should say.
What I would put it in a slightly different way. If we are just initiating.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
We are trying to excite you so that you will undertake this journey yourself.
Correct.
And then and you will get the joy of the journey. As part of Nidhidhyasanam, that is the one which actually gives us joy.
Very true, sir. In fact, I would really welcome people, if there are people who have keen interest on the Upanishads and who have attended. There are many scholars, many sages, many saints who have spoken about the Upanishads. Of course, we have very valuable commentaries by Adi Shankaracharya and few others. But in modern times, Swami Chinmayananda, Swami Shivananda, most of them have spoken, elaborated a lot on the Upanishads. And there are many people who have followed the Upanishads very keenly. So anybody who is really well versed and who would like to participate on the show, we welcome you to Prasanthi Nilayam. It would be really nice having you here, and we could actually plan a session and we could plan the timing, and you could really come and join us. It will really enrich the show.
Right. And even as that is the wisdom part, the knowledge part of it, reminded of what the episode which Swami would very often quote. When Vyasa, after he had composed all the Upanishads and Vedas, still was not satisfied.
Yes.
Sage Narada goes and tells him, now, why don't you make this in a more nectarous form?
Correct.
Make it into the Bhagavatam. Mm-hmm. The idea is the Bhagavatam is the living out of the Upanishads. And I think elders like Professor Sudhir Bhaskar says here, all of them have really lived out that Upanishad, what we say, that wisdom. And that's what we to an extent...
I hope so. But I think, I also have a lot of, kinks in my this one. Why I'm talking about this 91 series is, whenever I find a dilemma or something, maybe even sometimes we also get into some sort of a depression or feel despondent, I just go back to these discourses.
Oh.
And, at random I open a page. Mm-hmm. And, Swami gives me the answer. No, this is what you should be looking at. This is what you should be trying it out. This is how you should be accepting what is happening.
Wonderful. Sir.
So that is the one which makes you a lot more different. Like I said, in the path, I think this is the one which gives us more joy rather than destination. Because once we reach the destination, I don't know what will happen afterwards.
That's great.
So I think Shravanam Mananam Nidhidhyasanam is not complete without Swami's voice. So definitely we'll have to going to take a plunge into the first discourse. So for listeners who are following, this is the 20th of May 1991. You can get an online version of this, the text of this discourse. You can go to sssbpt.info. You get all the texts of the summer courses serialized according to the year. So we are following the 91 series. The first discourse, the discourse is The End of Education is Character. So
also it's in our website, we have all the archives, audio archives.
Right.
All
the discourse is, of course, there in the audio archive. The text is available if you would like to join us in the study and follow us as we go through the program. And so we'll start with the first discourse, the first clip of the first discourse, which, as we always do, we don't leave out any part of the discourse. We try to play it as it is. We don't take excerpts. So we'll listen to the first 9 to 10 minutes of that discourse, and we will see what Swami has to say as an introductory remark for this series.
సకల విద్యలు నేర్చి సభ జయించగవచ్చు, సకల విద్యలు నేర్చి సభ జయించగవచ్చు, పూర్ణుడై రణమందు ఓరవచ్చు, రాజరాజై పుట్టి రాజ్యమేలగవచ్చు, హేమ గోదానముల్యవచ్చు, గగనమందున్న చుక్కలు లెక్కగొనవచ్చు, గగనమందున్న చుక్కలు లెక్కగొనవచ్చు, జీవరాశుల పేర్లు చెప్పవచ్చు, అష్టాంగ విద్యలను అభ్యసించగవచ్చు, చంద్రమండలమైన చేరవచ్చు, అష్టాంగ విద్యలను అభ్యసించగవచ్చు, చంద్రమండలమైన చేరవచ్చు. కానీ దేహేంద్రియములరి కట్టి మనసు నిలిపి అంతర్ముఖము చేసి నిశ్చల నిస్వార్థ హృదయుడై నిలువగలడా, నిశ్చల నిస్వార్థ హృదయుడై నిలువగలడా.
It may be possible to learn all types of education and conquer competitions in the court. One may become extremely valorous and fight battles and wage wars. One could be born as an emperor and rule the kingdoms. It should be possible to count the innumerable stars in the sky. It could also be possible to recall the types of innumerable species of life on earth. One may be able to master the 8 types of education, Ashtanga Vidya. It is also possible perhaps to reach the moon. But is it possible to control the body and the senses and control the mind, introvert it, and make his life steady, free from selfishness, and live a life continuously thus?
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులైన విద్యార్థులారా, విద్యా బోధకులారా, విద్యాభిమానులారా,
embodiments of divine law, students, teachers, patrons of education.
ఇది నవీన నాగరికత యుగం. సాంకేతిక విజ్ఞాన శాస్త్రం విలుసులున్నట్టి కాలం.
The present day world is world of science and technology.
ఒకవైపున ప్లాస్టిక్, ఎలక్ట్రానిక్ కంప్యూటర్స్ ఆశ్చర్యకరమైనటువంటి అభివృద్ధిని శాస్త్రజ్ఞులు నెలకొల్పుతున్నారు.
There are scientists who, on the one hand, are working out miracles in terms of plastics, electronics, and computers, and achieving progress in that direction.
అణుశక్తికి సంబంధించినటువంటి యొక్క రంగమునందు కానీ, అంతరిక్షములకు సంబంధించినటువంటి రంగమునందు కానీ శాస్త్రజ్ఞుడు ఆశ్చర్యకరమైనటువంటి యొక్క అద్భుతాలను కనిపెడుతున్నాడు.
Scientists' achievement in terms of the world and in terms of the space science, it is something very extraordinary, and in terms of atomic knowledge and atomic science, the achievements are stupendous and very extraordinary.
ఇంతియే కాక కృత్రిమమైనటువంటి గ్రహములను కూడా సృష్టించి గగన మార్గమునకు పంపుతున్నాడు.
Not merely this, man has been able to manufacture satellites and send them into space.
అణుశక్తి పరిశోధనలు యందు అనంతమైనటువంటి యొక్క కాలమును, కర్మమును, కర్తవ్యమును, ధనమును కూడాను వ్యయం చేస్తున్నాడు.
In research relating to atomic science, man is spending plenty of time, energy, money, and everything necessary for it.
కానీ ఈ పరిశోధనకు సంబంధించినటువంటి పరిశోధనలకు తగినటువంటి పరిశీలన ఏమాత్రము కనిపించడం లేదు.
But there doesn't seem to be a corresponding benefit to the extent that the research has been carried on.
ఒకరికి మించి మరొకరు అభివృద్ధి గావించవలనని పెడమార్గము పట్టి నీతి నిజాయితీలను విస్మరించి తమ యొక్క స్వార్థము స్వప్రయోజన నిమిత్తమై అనేక విధముల పాటుపడుచున్నాడు.
Man is giving a go-by to morality, to integrity, thinking that he would be able to achieve many things in this line and going on the wrong way, full of selfishness and self-centeredness.
మరొక వైపున రాజకీయ ఆర్థిక కల్లోలములు.
On the other side, there is financial and political strife.
కులమత ద్వేషముల చేత మానవుడు అనేక విధములైన యొక్క కలహములకు ప్రసిద్ధమైపోయినాడు.
Man is getting ready on the basis of caste, religion, quarrels and misunderstanding.
బంధు ప్రీతి ఎందుకు కానీ, అధికార వాంఛలు ఎందుకు కానీ ఈనాటి మానవతా హృదయము మితిమీరిపోతున్నది.
Today's man is giving up all limits in his attachment to relatives and in his attachment to power.
ప్రాంతీయ దురభిమానముల చేత పవిత్రమైన భారతదేశమును ముక్కలు చెక్కలుగా చీల్చుకొని చూస్తున్నాయి.
Man is cutting the entire country into pieces on account of excessive parochialism.
విద్యార్థుల యొక్క కల్లోలములు మితిమీరిపోతున్నవి.
The students' strikes and strifes are excessively occurring.
ఈ విరుద్ధమైనటువంటి యొక్క ఈ రెండింటి అభివృద్ధులకు మూల కారణమేమిటి?
What is the reason for this kind of progress on two different directions?
ఒకవైపున విజ్ఞాన శాస్త్రము విరివిగా పెరిగిపోతున్నది.
On the one side, science is making rapid strides.
రెండవ వైపున నైతిక, ధార్మిక, ఆధ్యాత్మికములో మానవత్వము అతి ఘోరముగా క్షీణించిపోతున్నది.
On the other hand, the morality, righteousness and spirituality are disappearing from man's life.
So the Swami is stopping with a question: why is it happening? The explanation that Swami has to give is there for next week, but still there is so much Swami has said. There is so much that beautifully Swami brought the contrast of the progress of science, the progress we've made in our political arrangements of nations and of societies, but still something is missing. Whenever I listen to this sort of a discourse, sometimes which you feel is, Swami is being a very expressive and forceful when it comes to the negative aspects of society and what man is doing. But when you look at it, it almost shows a sense of desperation. When a mother is looking at the child who is about to fall down, the mother will not think that what is the negative, what is the positive. I should be optimistic in my advice. It's just that desperation of saying that, watch out, you're going to fall. It's almost that when Swami is saying that, such a noble birth you've got, such a special opportunity you've got to be born as a human being, and you're using all your talent in such things, of sending satellites to the sky and only about science. What a waste it is.
I really was waiting for the answer. I didn't know you had cut it at this point, but it really is going to bring me back to the next episode to know what Swami actually says, because listening to him is quite different from what you actually read on the paper. There are small links that Swami brings about, and these 2 points that he says, there is progress in 2 different directions. On one side, you see science growing. On the other side, you see spirituality declining.
Right.
So the question is, this is the current affair. This is how the world is right now. And why is it happening so? So Swami has summarized the current affairs.
Just looking at this particular part of that introduction, I agree with both of you, but I would like to look at it slightly differently. After Swami had given Bhagavad Gita, that is the answer for everything.
Correct.
Even though he had given, over a period of time, why is that humanity has strayed away from the path which he has so very nicely told? If I analyze this type of situation, what really occurs to me, because all the examples Swami has given, every individual is trying to optimize without concern for the others.
Selfishness.
When you're developing atomic energy, he does not see possibly can it be misused.
Correct.
Possibly can it be abused. He's not looking at it. He's only looking at that particular achievement which is. That's why Swami also talks about.
Correct.
You're trying to achieve.
The morality goes out.
Space, research, everything you're trying to do. In the process, are we going in the charted direction which is needed for us to go to the end of our life? That we don't. So we are straying away to the by-lanes and getting into a blind alley without knowing how to come back. The humanity is currently, if you look at the 3 avatars Swami has been talking about from Shirdi too, this is the type of a thing where you really find Swami had to take one more just to bring back all those souls who have strayed away, come back. Because they did not know how to come back. For example, if you see a sheep which keeps moving, there's somebody, or still you find that there's a dog which actually brings it back. It doesn't allow, because you have 200, 300 sheep. One shepherd can't really look after, so he has got a couple of dogs which does that about. See, I think Swami need to come down was that those of us who have strayed away, he's trying to guide us back how to come back to that. In the process, he's trying to show you the negative things. This is what has really culminated into your current state where you are today. So
Very
can you
true.
take it seriously to come back?
Very true. In fact, just looking at it in a tangential way, in the other yugas, your wickedness was localized, and you had human beings who represented the epitome of evil. Okay, possibly if you take Ramayana, if you take Ravana, he was a scholar, he was a Vedic scholar. Because of one flaw of his, he was condemned and he was considered absolutely evil. Then you come to the Dwapara age, then the evil is spread out, and it's there is an equal balance of good and evil, and there is more evil in few, and in the Kali Yuga there is evil in everybody. But what is more evil today is the manifestation of science and technology which is being misused. When a person pursues science and comes out with an invention or discovers something with a selfish motive, we have seen the impact of that in the atom bomb, for example.
Right. I think going back to what Sir was telling when we were talking about the title of the discourse, making the end of the journey or making what you're supposed to achieve in the end of the journey as your guidepost itself. It is not only waiting till you finish your education to attain the character, at every stage keeping a reference point with the character and saying that, is it in line with that? Is it leading me to that? I think that is what is missed, because somebody had said, you can deal with untruth which faces you, but dealing with untruth which comes to you in the garb of truth, that's where the problem is. I think in all of these things which Swami has said, about science, about achievements, in a sense, it appears like it is the right thing to do. There is a sense of, scientists will always say that we are bringing the best technology which is going to help everybody indiscriminately. But definitely indiscrimination seems to be paramount there, but not in the sense of equality.
Sai Prakash, what you mentioned,
yes,
actually this is where Swami very beautifully said, everybody wants Purnam. That means the fullness.
Correct.
But if you look at, it's like the two C's. Science is one C, which is half of the Purnam.
Correct.
And spirituality is the other half.
The other half.
And if we put the two together, we get Purnam. At no point Swami has condemned science.
Correct.
But science has to be subservient and be congenial with spirituality so that both can go hand in hand, help each other.
I mean, that's what. So the intention and the way in which science and technology is used is very important. And as you were rightly saying, yes, there is the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita deals with a wide range of topics. Now today I'm sitting in my room and I'm saying, here is a series of discourses with Swami speaking on the Upanishads. How is it going to help me? This is the answer. Swami says, look at the world today. This is the context in which I am going to tell you what the Upanishads say.
What Upanishad offers you to rectify the situation.
Exactly.
Because everybody is concerned. You ask anybody, including the worst politician, you ask him, at some point he says that, look, we have to do something good. But the thing is, they don't know where and what to do.
Exactly.
And this is where Swami is trying to give us, a solution set, so that from which you can choose what is most appropriate for your situation, for your understanding.
And also the other thing which has happened is many times, in the Indian culture, of course, it's very obvious. Swami would often say that the advances in science that we see today pales when compared to what was being achieved in the Vedic times.
Correct.
And when you go back to those Vedic times, what you see is most of these scientific achievers were actually sages.
Yes.
So they had no qualms in living together, science and spirituality coexisting. Probably in many ways, the problem is this divorce which has happened between science and spirituality.
Yeah, the intention, the personal level of morality which they had, the integrity which they had. So that was, reflected in all their inventions and in the discoveries. But when that is lacking, there is scope for science and technology to be misused.
I can't remember where the reference is, but I remember reading, if you look at Atharvana Veda, that's where all the scientific developments and achievements and have been already enunciated and given process designs, everything has been already mentioned. Actually, there are only 3 Vedas.
Right.
Till Atharvana Veda came.
Okay.
And all the scholars and sages and everybody were saying that no, there are only 3 Vedas which are given by Brahma. 4th Veda cannot exist. So when the debate was going on, then they have wanted somebody to be a judge to check whether the 4th Veda is really valid to be equivalent to those.
Called Veda.
Okay.
To be called Veda also. Then Saraswati is called because no, she is the one who knows. But she also come to a point where she says that look, then Shiva, who is actually the embodiment of all the things, he comes and says, look, whatever you have looked at in the 3 Vedas, it has got culminated into a format which is, people can understand and use it, see it.
Okay.
That's how the Atharvana Veda came in. So Atharvana Veda is not something diverse of all the other things. But like what we have been discussing now, all are getting dovetailed too.
Okay.
In a format which people can understand. And if you look at current students and teachers and public at large or youth, they are more interested in gadgets, which are outcome of technology.
Correct.
Okay, technology, Swami says technology. But the thing is, Swami also said, can we use it for the betterment?
Exactly.
That's where the differentiation comes. Like what you have been saying, Prem, is that can we use it for betterment?
Right.
We can't stop these inventions. But can we have the intention that it should be for the betterment, for the society, for the downtrodden, for the people who are deprived? If it can help them a little better, so that they can also get onto the spiritual path.
Correct.
Because when the stomach is empty, spirituality doesn't come into...
I think that's precisely what Swami says in this Padyam, the last two lines. Can you achieve a steady mind and can you have a selfless heart? It's almost mentioning both. Like one is you should have the wisdom to use science and technology in the right way. And also you should have the selflessness to do it in the right manner.
Perfect.
Correct.
It's in that way, it's a beautiful Padyam. I mean, as we always come across that first Padyam, to be a perfect, I mean, you cannot go this way, that way. It's a perfect summary of the entire discourse.
And what is to come.
Right, what is to come. It's so beautiful again. So I think with this we'll conclude this episode, and I'm sure it's been wonderful to be back doing Shravanam Mananam. And of course, the fear is still there.
The enormity of the task is just looming right in front of...
No, but I'm sure, with prayer in our heart, Swami will definitely guide us.
Yeah, because he is going to do the talking, literally in his discourse, and after that through us.
Right. And
You're only lip syncing, that's all.
That's it.
absolutely. So with that prayer in our heart, and we offer this program at Swami's Lotus Feet. We'll come back to you next week with the remaining clips in this discourse, probably a couple of more for the next week. Sai Prakash, me, Prem, and Professor Sudhir Bhaskar, we offer our humble pranams at Bhagwan's Lotus Feet. And dear listeners, thank you very much for all your encouraging feedback and for your company.